Tuesday community call. Tuesdays at 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 Pacific. I think have all time zones represented today. If not, they're coming on right now. Based on your feedback, a couple of things. We've got Housing Wire once a month now, and I'm interviewing or talking to loan officers on the other 3 or 4 calls of the month, depending on how many Tuesdays there are in the month. We're also really trying to keep these calls to a half hour now. And not go over unless we're really talking about something important that you all want to go over with. A little housekeeping up in the right-hand corner. We've got our chat. If you have a question, please put it in the chat. We have a lot of people on the call today and a lot of people watching on Facebook Live as well. These calls are recorded and are put up on my YouTube channel after. So if you miss it or want to watch it again, you can see it there as well. A little minor housekeeping. We have an agent crush group starting pretty soon in the next couple of weeks. We have one going right now. Great feedback. Agents are loving it. It's on the site if you want to see it. We also have a mortgage crush group starting. It was supposed to start this Friday, the 16th, but there were a couple more people that wanted to join. So we're going to start on the 23rd. That is a 2 p.m. Eastern group for 24 weeks or 24 Fridays in a row. Unless we're already at that time of the year where we run into Thanksgiving and things like that, then we would skip a Friday. There's more information about crush groups on the website as well. So everybody, just real quick, today we have Sean Johnson. If you saw the promo, Sean is recently, he's now a producing area manager. That's a recent thing, but he's a producing sales leader.
Yeah.
In the greater Washington metro area, which is very close to where I live. Well, it is where I live. Sean and I probably live about 25 minutes apart from each other. So him and his group do loans in Maryland, Virginia, DC. And then if you hang out around here, you leak into West Virginia every once in a while, and you do a little Delaware and stuff like that because of how people move around in our market. I've worked with Sean for a long time. I told him there's no prep for these calls. I just want to talk. People are getting great takeaways. As we get to the end of the call, Sean will, or Josh will put Sean's preferred contact information in the chat. I'm sure with Sean, that's probably going to be email because he is on social media, but he's not on there a ton, even though we did just get to see Sean's young son attempting Ninja Master School. If you're not friends with Sean on Facebook, it's worth friending him just to see his kids scale a bookcase, tiptoe across, and then jump off it onto some type of pillows, all while his mother or Sean's wife was not in the room, even though she could now see that ninja activity. Sean Johnson, Sean, you've been in the business how long? When did you get the business?
Since 2002.
2002. All right, so 19 years. And Sean, just last year, I know you did 104 million. And just correct me, you were 70% purchase, or was it 75?
Right at 70%. Yeah.
Right at 70%. And year to date, what are we at? Units extrapolate. You don't have to extrapolate through April, but through March.
Yeah, through March, we're at right under 100 units, like 96, 97 for 45 million. Okay, excellent. And how are we doing on our purchase percentage? Right now it's 65.
Okay, 65%. Okay. We've talked about this a little bit, everybody. If you're gonna refi all your clients, do it now. This party's gonna be over. You all have heard me ranting about this. You don't want to be on a used car lot selling Kias or whatever kind of car you're going to be selling because you've been closing refis all month and haven't been doing any purchases. And then you got guys like Sean Johnson out on the street who've been paying attention to real estate agents the whole time, had picked up market share, and probably maybe even picked up some of your agent or people that you thought worked with you no longer work with you because you're busy sitting in your office doing refis thinking you're king of the world. So Sean, the first question I like to ask everyone, every loan officer, because it's so relevant right now, is talk to me about inventory. It was my opinion that once we saw the Easter Bunny's ears, we would start seeing some listings. That's based on the agents that I talk to. and the people that they had spoken to, the sort of what I call pent up inventory. But even as listings start to come on the market, and we're in a crazy, insane market where not only are you waiving all kinds of contingencies, but people are writing contracts like, yeah, you can buy my house, but it's not really real until I find a house. Oh, and by the way, if I don't find one, this is over. I mean, that to me is like, Twilight Zone, okay, which is what we're in. So Sean, share with everyone, what are you doing with your team? How are you overcoming, having to write 10, 20, pre-qual letters for one borrower, sometimes, 8 in a weekend out. And then the other piece I want to talk about is, how are you interacting with your agent partners? How are you consoling them? How are you sort of keeping them calm? Because a lot of them are really freaking out because they're working just as hard.
Yeah, wow. Okay. That's a big question.
You got plenty of time.
So, I mean, on the letter side of it, it just is what it is at this point. I mean, it's been going on for a long time. It's a great way to build a lot of rapport with your clients and also with the agent. Usually I'll reach out every Wednesday to everyone that's shopping and say, hey, are you guys going to look at any properties this week? And let me get you numbers ahead of time. So we're at least prepared because we have such a backlog of people that are looking every weekend and wanting to put in offers. I just don't want 20 people sneaking up on me on a Saturday.
Sean, can I translate that just real quick for this group? A lot of Joel people on this group. So you're basically taking your BICs, which are really your docked shoppers, and you're circumventing the flood of phone calls. This is actually kind of awesome. No one's talked about this yet. And you part of your business process now is you're doing it on Wednesday to give yourself enough time. You're hitting everyone on Wednesday. Yo, what are you doing this weekend? You want to be ahead so you're not writing 72 letters on Friday night at 7:00. Is it basically
Correct.
what you're doing?
Yeah.
And are you, do you make those calls? Do you have someone on your team making those calls? And do you keep them all in a Google Doc? I know I'm getting super tactical, but people on this call are doing loans. This is a call filled with good loan officers. So I'd love for them to hear exactly like how you're doing it, what you do.
Most of the clients, we send an email Wednesday. So it's just like a form email to say, hey, just check in again. Are you going out? And that's done by Brittany or Alec.
Okay.
We'll send that out. Some of the people that reply back, if they have a question or something, I'll reach out with a phone call and kind of walk through the questions with them. CC the agents whenever we send out the link. So I use Mortgage Coach, which I'm sure a lot of people use. Always have the agent on that so they can see what they're looking at for the property. And I'll
everybody hear that? CC the agent, write that down. That's huge. By the way, those of you that have not been through a crush group or don't know me that well, you are allowed to CC your agent partner on every single correspondence with the borrower, with the exception of discussing a specific credit-related issue. You may not CC an agent on, yo, did you pay off your medical bill yet? But you can certainly CC an agent on, remember, we still need your pay stubs. Okay? That is legal opinion from 3 attorneys that work for large mortgage companies. Okay? Sean, that's a great idea. Hopefully a lot of people wrote that down. And that also is cutting down on the agents beating you up too, because they're seeing you engage, right?
They're seeing me engage, and they're honestly way busier than they normally are. So they have a lot of just kind of clutter in their day-to-day life that they don't normally have, because a buyer's agent is normally working with like 2 or 3 people in a month. Right now might be working with 8 or 9 because they just can't get them ratified.
Right.
So it helps them keep everything straight and the offers and who's doing what. I had one agent last week say, oh my God, thank you for CCing me on that. I completely forgot I was driving this person to that house or meeting them at this house on Saturday. So
now, Sean, at your company at LoanDepot, this is not a commercial for LoanDepot. Those of you know that I work with people at 20 different companies. Once you have them pre-approved, are you able to pretty quickly just redo the letter from wherever you are, or is your goal to be doing none of that on the weekend, to have it all done before?
Pretty much from wherever we're at. I mean, I'm in my basement all the time, so it's not that big of an obstacle for me right now.
But it will be. It's coming.
Yeah, no, it will be. For the most part, we can get them done wherever. Our POS is web-based, so it's not a big deal to get them done.
Okay. All right. So talk to me about how you're talking to your agent partners. I'm hearing this from loan officers all the time, and I'm hearing this from agents. You know, the agents are burnt from writing, you know, tons of offers. There's all kinds of pocket listings. There's a million games going on. You know, it is really hard for people to get houses right now. What kind of conversations are you having with your agent partners? So what's the temperature where you are? Are they optimistic? Are they just fully burnt out? What's going on in your market?
I think it's somewhat cyclical, especially for the single agents that don't have a team that can kind of help them with a lot of stuff. It seems like they're kind of going through emotional ups and downs a little bit, and it's to have therapy sessions from a week to week or month to month basis, especially when they get close. Like when they feel like they had a client that's been looking for a long time, good conversation with a listing agent at the last second, cash buyer or somebody with some ridiculous offer comes in. It's really, I mean, on a kind of selfish level, it's been a good year for creating much deeper relationships with agents. Like the onesie twosies guys or the guys doing 3 or 4 transactions, I'm able to get a lot more brain cells from them now because the other loan officers they were working with are not doing as good a job just talking to them and shooting the shit with them when we're losing deals and stuff. So now that there's so many more deeper conversations, I've gone from someone on a list to a preferred guy with a half dozen people that I probably only did a transaction or 2 here or there.
So you know, the way I would translate that is he's going from division to company to platoon way faster than he normally would be able to do because of the stress in the market. Because as you all know, you've heard me say this a million times, the 2 best sales techniques are guilt and sympathy. Those are both emotional responses that you can't have unless you have a relationship. Sean is very clearly has relationships that go far beyond any kind of tactics that are real relationships. So the agents feel like, you know, they can talk to him. Sean, the other piece I've been talking about with every loan officer every week, and I rant and rave about this all the time about, you know, docking files, like really getting the documents. In my career, you know, I've never seen a better moment in time ever for loan officers to flip the script a little bit on how important we are in the process. You know, at the beginning, I'll never forget, you know, here's a desk, here's a phone, get out of my face, you're on your own. You know, I'm out on the street meeting agents, and it was just this, the whole vibe was, yeah, I snap my fingers and you salute. You know what I mean? Meaning I'm the hub, you're like a little spoke and you do as I say. As you build deeper relationships, then you start partnering. But even when you're partnering, you know, it's that phone call at 5 o'clock on Friday where they're like, yeah, I need a pre-call right now. I'm taking these people out. And you're like, how long have you known about this? Tuesday. Could you have called me on Tuesday? You know, I've never seen a moment in time where we can coach them up and help them and be like, hey, you want your people totally docked out. Like you don't want me guessing. You want me telling the listing agent, you're good to go. You know, have you found, is that happening in your business? Is that part of you just being able to go deeper, to be able to provide that better customer service and actually help you not chase your tail as much because the customers are getting the docs in?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a big part, especially everyone wants to waive something, whether it's financing, you know, appraisal, everything else. So there's so many protections being taken away. Not that you shouldn't be doing it all the time. Like, look, if you're asking your client, hey, the only way we're gonna win this is to waive financing, this can't be on like a wing and a prayer prequel. So like, this is on your advice. You're telling them to give up all their protection. So let's make sure we got them completely docked out and good. And there's been so many horror stories for people that didn't go through, whether it's COVID related guidelines that every company had a different iteration of that loan officers just didn't see coming. And there's just been so many iterations of them. There's a lot of details that aren't normally there. Most agents on the buy side or the sell side at some point have gotten burned this year pretty bad. So there's a very,
you know, it's funny. I had Matt Newsy on here in the fall, or it might have been over the summer. Matt Newsy is the #1 RE/MAX agent in the state of Connecticut. Now I think he might be #1 in like the Northeast region for RE/MAX. Young guy. I mean, well, he's not that young anymore, but younger guy. got into real estate right out of college, was a kicker for University of Connecticut, super driven guy. I'll never forget, he said to me, he's like, Joel, people think it's easy. You're just an agent and you just throw stuff up and it's just gone. He goes, I have never worked harder in my whole career, even on listings or with buyers, because even if you're the listing agent, so what if you listed it and you had 20 contracts? You got to go through the 20 contracts. Then you still have to manage the process. There's nothing, even cash deals are going sideways. And it was interesting. He's saying the same thing that you're saying. People think it's just Candyland being an agent. No way. It is not layups. And, a lot of these agents are super, super stressed out about it. And I mean, Sean, have you had to have conversations with listing agents where you can then go back to your partner? And I don't want to say, see, told you so, but we got to do a better job, where you've had to say to a listing agent, look, I got to be honest, I don't have the tax returns, or I don't, I don't have that yet.
No, I'm not. I'm not right. I've been working with you long enough. I'm not writing a letter if I don't have anything on there.
Exactly. Okay. Good.
That's not an issue. One thing, and Sean actually brought up a good point, which is something we've been doing a lot of, is conversations with listing agents. They're great. Like, even if they're not getting the deal, like, I'll call and we know each other by reputation or whatever. And to say, okay, where on the list am I between 1 and 40 of your offers? And it just starts like a fun conversation with a listing agent. They'll kind of go through it. So I've made connections with lots of listing agents this year that normally, it's a quick phone call, we get the deal, whatever. But I've been competing or calling the same listing agent like once or twice a week.
Yeah.
Different properties or different clients. Had one with 5 separate clients offering on the same house. And, she was like, well, which one's your favorite? I'm like, well, they're like my kids. I did none of them are my favorite. I love them all equally. So it's interesting opportunities in different types of conversations that in a normal market you just don't get to have, that they'll remember you, give you opportunities to call them again, and the next time it's good. But set up a lot of appointments with listing agents this year that I don't think I would have in a normal market.
Yeah. And those of you that have been through a crush group, Doug Houston just finished one, know how I handle the whole listing agent piece. So if you're strategically thinking that way with listing agents, it's winner, chicken dinner in this kind of market, especially if you're getting your offers accepted. And, again, back on the theory of what a great market to flip the script a little bit with agents, there are a lot of great loan officers, a lot of them on this call right now, a lot of great loan officers across the country whose buyers are getting the property because of the loan officer. And the agents know that. Like, literally, the agents know that what a benefit it is to have the loan with this loan officer. Because if they're staring at 10 offers, even if one offer is, $3,000 higher, these listing agents are shrewd enough to go, no. We're taking the one where Sean Johnson's the loan officer. That one's going to close. We don't want to have to put this back on the market again. Sean, where do you see, if you put your futurist hat on, tell me about, your thoughts on this year, this through the end of this year and into next year in your specific market. What do you see? By the way, everybody, I didn't mention this in the beginning, but I mean, Sean has a lot of direct report LOs. A lot of them are big producers. So he's just not a guy sitting in his basement, slinging loans all day. In fact, if that's what he was doing, he probably would have done 300 million this year, last year, not 100 million. So he's got his finger on the pulse. He's building out a big area right now. What are you seeing? What advice would you give these people coming from you from now to the end of the year?
I mean, refis are definitely, there's no doubt we should see a slowdown, and now nobody can really tell with how volatile everything is if rates are going to dip back down. One thing I've intellectually learned from last year that I don't know if I've actually been able to put into place is opportunity is not always opportunity when there's too much of it. So there were a few days last year where I would walk in the office and lock 30 loans and not look at my pipeline holistically and say, okay, if I lock all these loans today, what does my next week look like? And it did so much damage to my pipelines. We'll have like 20 purchase closings by the end of the month. I lock something on the 15th, and locking 30 loans isn't just clicking a button. You still got to reach out. You got to get the docs. You gotta get everything else, disclose all of them. So that's something I've really tried to focus on is if I'm gonna get an abundance of locks or if we see rates dipping again, make sure it's not gonna do damage to like my real business, which is the purchase business. Because there's definitely a few relationships I put some hurt on last year by getting a little over greedy, and I could have staggered those locks out. The rates were stagnant for months. I could have staggered those doing 2 or 3 a day for a week and everything would have gone perfect. So that is
Sean, that kind of falls under to what I've been yelling and screaming about. We've talked about this in private to everyone with refis: doc, lock, schedule, and close. There's nothing ops people hate more than a refi that doesn't have a close date on it, where they don't know and they got to order a payoff 72 times. I tell loan officers all the time, if you have an unlocked refi, you basically have a piece of trash. An unlocked refi is crap. It's nothing. It means nothing. The borrower doesn't close. A locked refi, a closed refi can mean nothing if they rescind. It's the worst type of loan you could possibly have. But to put it in your system, put it in your operational system, if I was running a big company right now, I'd have someone running a report every morning, literally going through the whole pipeline. Anything that said R that wasn't locked, I'd flag it. And if it wasn't locked within a day, I'd ask people to withdraw or lock, because I don't want to hedge it and I don't want it in my system and I don't want all my ops people losing it. But what you said is even more important, and that is you don't want it getting in the way of your purchase business. And I tell loan officers, lock the stuff for 55 days and schedule it 55 days out. This game of let's see how many loans I can close in a month so I can get some big check or whatever, you're doing damage to your business. You're doing damage to your ops people. You're doing damage all over the place. And like Sean said, and by the way, Sean is very relational. With the people he connects with, he's super relational. He readily admitted he did some damage. He singed some people that I'm sure he'll undo if he hasn't already done it. He'll undo it as we come out of COVID and he starts doing B2Bs again. I'm sure he'll undo it, but he singed some people. There's a point where you do have to manage your own business within the business or within the company that you're in. But if you're allowing customers to lock in their refinances without handing over their docs right now, you're certifiably insane. You're just praying. It's complete craziness. Give me your docs and I'll lock you in. Yeah, but this guy over here, cool. Go to him. Go over to that person and ruin his day or her day or month or whatever. Go tick off all their ops people, because I want my ops people jamming through a 21-day purchase that has to close on from one of my best clients. Not pulling their hair out, working up a P&L on a self-employed borrower, trying to close a refi by the end of the month to get paid on. And Sean, that's some sage, raw advice there for everyone. I love you being honest like that. All right, we got a couple more minutes. Anything else, Sean? I hate to put you on the spot, but the thing with me is I don't like to prep because I think it's better if we don't prep. Sean, is there any other advice? I think the refis will be gone, Sean, by call it June, July. I think they'll all close out by September, October. I think of course, we're going to have need-based refis, divorces, equity out for home improvements and college and, things that happen, deaths in the family. But I think I'm refinancing because my rate is going down 0.5%. The actual numbers show that all the people that can refi will be refied by that time. Like they'll be refinanced. There won't be anyone left unless it's a need-based refinance. Okay. Unless for some reason the rates flew up and we originated $1 trillion worth of loans that we could then refinance, which we couldn't anyway, because they all wouldn't have made enough payments. Anything else?
Something that we've been doing, when rates started going up, like the first month, I called every buyer's agent that I work with regularly that has a lot of clients. I'm like, this is your shot. Because there's going to be about a 30 to 60 day window where the market is stunned and doesn't believe this is actually happening. And a majority of the clients in DC Metro or, somewhat high net worth, it wasn't affordability of homes that were the problem. There was the issue of scarcity of homes. So call your clients. I'm calling them all right now too and saying, look, your competition just shrunk down from 30 for whatever this window is until everyone realizes this is kind of the new norm to 10. You're going to have a lot less kind of just wacky offers and stuff you're having to compete with. And in the last 30 days, even though rates went up, we put over 20 purchases under contract just by saying, get in there now while competition's a little bit more scarce. And they're like, well, the rates are high. I'm like, don't worry about it. Pull your down payment back 2% and use 2 discount points. You're spending the same amount of money. You're going to have the same payment, the same rate you did 20 days ago. And you're not going to have to go you're not competing against nearly as many people. So just trying to look at what's going on with the market and reiterating, because the clients were calling the agents and saying rates are going up. I want to sit on the fence. I'm like, no, now you go all in. This is the best time to go and move forward.
So we've talked about this on this call, Sean, about doing exactly what you're doing, which is taking an OTC or an opportunity to coach and understanding that a lot of your agent partners aren't good at pencil selling, and you do need to help them a little bit. Like you heard Sean say, put 2% less down, use discount point. He was just getting creative. And that's what I call pencil selling. That's when you take out a pad and a pen and you start doing numbers, right? Long division right in front of someone. You start showing them the power of money or the power of their purchase or whatever. A lot of agents are not good at that. What a great relationship building activity to actually teach them. So it's not just Sean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, so you shut me up whenever. It's not just Sean going, hey, the rates went up, scare the crap out of your people and tell them, let's go. There's a lot more to those conversations where he's saying, no, let me tell you what to say to them, and here's why. He skipped over that a little bit, but I know you're doing that.
Yeah, no, it's the opposite of scaring them. Like, this is what you've been waiting for. This is your opportunity. The water got too cold for some people. You don't mind it. Get in and get the house now. Because we're not in DC Metro, we're not going to see too much of a slowdown as far as appreciation.
No.
We're so insulated as far as so many jobs, so many high paying jobs, and we're super transient. Like it doesn't matter what the rate is you're getting today, because in 12 months, it's going to be another 40 grand higher anyway. And there's not going to be more inventory. So even if rates went back down to 2 5/8, you're paying it on 40 grand more. It's going to be more expensive.
Sean, I don't know if you saw these numbers, but this applies to you because you got in the business in 2002. So at the peak of the market in 2007, right before the complete, utter meltdown, the 80-20 LIDOC, Central, the countrywide fast and easy debacle. 2007, they had some stats, some market stats or whatever, properties being bought, sold, moving. In November of last year, it surpassed in the middle of 2007, which, by the way, those of you that are newer originators, that's an insane stat, because people were lying, cheating, and stealing in 2007, literally giving money away. You breathed on them, you breathed on a mirror and you got a loan. I mean, literally there was more fraud going on than ever, and so we surpassed it with no fraud. I mean, you got to qualify now, so it's really, 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 really amazing. Well, Sean, one last question. So Sean has two little kids. Again, you got to go to his Facebook because you have to see the video of the mini ninja hopping off the bookcase. But Sean, any words of wisdom for keeping yourself sane in this market? Sean's been in the house with 2 little maniacs. I think he's triple deadbolted in the basement. Sometimes when we're talking, I hear little voices screaming, and he just turns off the lights and pretends he's not there. Daddy's not home. Daddy's not here, as he's hiding in the basement. But any words of wisdom for the rest of us who have all been cooped up as well? We're starting to get out now, but what things you've been doing, or what things you're going to do, or, just a little lighthearted stuff before we hang it up.
Yeah. I mean, bought the kids a trampoline last Monday, so I can sit outside and watch them try to break their necks, and that usually takes a couple hours. Honestly, it's definitely been difficult being kind of cooped up with them. They got no boundaries. Like the 2-year-old thinks he's a dinosaur. He's never been socialized like his entire coherent life. He's just been in the house watching dinosaur videos. So he's like a biter and shit. So that's tough, but as much as it's been difficult, it's actually been a lot of fun, because for my 5-year-old, I missed all this. Like, I'm usually out the door beforehand, before they're up, and I get home just kind of put them down. So that's been kind of my reminder, is that been able to really spend the last 12 months seeing him go from like 1.5 to 2.5, seeing my daughter go from 4 and not reading and stuff, and now like reading books to me during the day. So as much as it's difficult, parts of it are kind of better. So that's kind of been what I've
The
kept.
key is just get her an HP-12C and just have her start pre-qualing people, and then you can let her in the basement. Just let her do some soft pre-quals. Get her a pen.
She's always closing, man. She gets me all the time. So.
All right, everybody. Sean Johnson, producing sales leader or area manager, whatever you want to call it at LoanDepot, the official title. But he is a producing loan officer, producing leader, producing manager. And thank you so much for your time. Everyone, thanks for tuning in. My website, bigJOEL.com. There's lots of information there. Sean, best way to get a hold of you. What do you want Josh to put in the chat? If someone's looking for you.
Yeah, my cell. You just put in my cell. It's fine.
Your mobile is fine? Okay.
Yeah.
He said his mobile is fine. Also, Sean is on Facebook. He's Sean Johnson. There's a ton of Sean Johnsons, but if you're friends with me, and I think most of you are, you can find him in my friend list. My friend list is open, so you can find him there if you want to friend him there or on Instagram as well. And like we've been talking about, everybody, control your business. It's all about the C right now. You think it's good now. It's about to get crazy, super nutty. You all are going to think your company's rates are too high. You're going to be wanting, wow, rates are too high. Well, what's happening is companies are dropping their shorts to keep the refis going because they don't want to lay people off. And you're going to feel like your company sucks. That's not what's going on. Let me just put it out there like you guys, this is why you guys pay me the big bucks. It's you that suck if you think that, because that means your relationship isn't deep enough to overcome that stuff, because that's going to happen. I've seen this happen 4 times in my career. Doug Houston is an old man like me. He's seen it many times as well. Doug's got his camera on, so I'm playing around with him. That's exactly the first thought you have. Wow, what is going on with this? Okay. The other thought you have is when you're closing 10 loans a month and 8 of them are refis, and your company is generously providing you operational support with LOAs and stuff, and suddenly your sharing or your LOA is gone, feel free to have a pity party for yourself in the corner. You don't deserve an LOA doing 2 purchase loans a month. So you're going to feel that pinch as well if you don't get off your butt and originate loans. There's a big, huge market out there. We started January 2020. January 2020, we started off 3 million houses short for people that wanted to buy them. We are now April 2021. We are way more than 3 million houses short for people that want to buy them. You all are in a great business. You can have incredible careers. You just got to do the right thing all the time. These refis will be gone. If you didn't deepen an existing relationship or develop a new one today, then you failed for today. Own it. Okay. No excuse. You're too busy. Be focused on the right activities. Sean Johnson, thank you so much. Those of you that put your cameras on, thank you. For the rest of you all, thank you as well. And we'll talk to everybody next Tuesday, 12:30 Eastern. Bye-bye.